Good morning. Welcome to day 5 of ScriptGym. This is our first asynchronous class. We'll be doing just a video on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the next couple of weeks. And maybe the last week we'll meet more in person. But this is class 5. I am Professor Robert Naturman. I am here at my home office studio, and you can see behind me ScriptGym, and also on the board, just like we have it, today's class 5. Our quote of the day is, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Ben Franklin said that. He said a lot of pithy things, actually. And there's truth to it. And today's kind of our last day of preparation. We did the character work, we did the treatment, and today we're going to do Notecards outlining. So, and once we're beyond that, then we start writing tomorrow, which is very exciting. So let's go over today. What is today? Today is Tuesday, but what is our class today? Well, we start with a relaxation exercise warm-up stretch, which is the yoga, the static warm-up. Remember, we did a ballistic. There's static and ballistic, and static focuses less on movement and more on your breath and stretching and doing things slowly. It's the normal one we've done we've done twice, and I do have on the discussion board all the steps that you could take. And if you needed a guided yoga warm-up, I have also put a link to a video. It's actually, the video itself is on the discussion board, so you can just click it on and go. Once that's done, then we're on to a writing exercise. And that is known, it's called From A to Z. It's very simple. You're going to create a story, whether it be a memoir, a blog post, how to do something, anything really. The choice is yours. The only parameters are that it's 26 sentences long. It could be a poem, and each one begins with the next letter of the alphabet. So you start with A, obviously, B, C, D, and so on. So have fun with it. We can do it as an improv eventually, not these particular stories that you're going to write, but don't think too hard on it. It should take you about 10 minutes, hopefully. So once that's done, it is time for our lecture. And our lecture is about note cards or outlining. Now, of course, there's a step outline, beat sheet, whatever you want to call it, goes beat by beat by beat, which you have an example of, which we talked about yesterday for Chinatown. We're not going to be doing that. We will be doing a broader overview of it. First thing I want you to do, however, is I want you to pause this video, and I want you to look at your watch or your phone and time it for 1 minute. Exactly 1 minute. And when that 1 minute's over, I want you to turn the video back on. So turn it off for 1 minute. Come on back. Okay, welcome back. Now, I wanted you to get a sense of how long a minute is when you write a script. It's quite long. And I know sometimes you put in scripts, you have scenes that go 3, 4, 5 pages, and that's 3, 4, 5 minutes, unless it's heavily action and it could be longer. But you generally want to figure a page a minute, roughly. So your scripts, you want to, for a feature, you want to go somewhere around between 90 and 100 pages. They could go longer. They could go 2 hours, 120, 130 pages, but they tend to go a little bit shorter these days. Again, unlike Oppenheimer, which was 3 hours. So there's always an exception to the rule, but generally as a first early script, you wanted to do really compact, tight, 100 pages, somewhere in that range. With that in mind, I wanted to give you structurally an idea of what goes into these scripts on these pages. And that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing cards. You can do it on your computer. You don't actually need hard cards. Although the advantage of having cards is that you are able to put it up and see it right in front of you. You can have it on your computer, it's fine. And that way you can submit them, on Canvas, so I can get a look at them. Even though the course is essentially not about how to write a script, it's as much about getting you to write the script. I'm not going to leave you in the lurch, and we're going to go over some technique and structure, of course. So we did talk about the 3-act structure. There's no hard and set rule it has to be 3 acts. It's a way of quantifying it for you and breaking it down. If you break it down into 8 sequences, then that's even more manageable chunks that you can write in. And you want to get to certain points at the end of these sequences. So say at the end of the first sequence, remember Act 2 has 2 sequences. So the first half of Act 1, you want to get to the inciting incident. And that's what breaks the status quo. I've got a link to a video that goes over 50 of them. So you'll have a real good idea of what an inciting incident is. The end of the second sequence, the end of the first act, is the point of no return. And that is really where essentially the character can't look back. They take steps forward and everything has changed. And then Act 2, which is 4 sequences, you want it to be continuing to have escalating conflict and tension. You want every scene to have conflict. Every scene should have a beginning, middle, and end. Every scene should have conflict in it. And every scene should lead to the next scene. And as a general rule, as I discussed, you want to enter as late as possible and leave as early as possible. So you really have the tightest scenes you can possibly have, but with those parameters of conflict and beginning, middle, and end. And I talked about the Wizard of Oz. More things happen and occur. Then you'll hit a midpoint, which is a crisis, which is sort of the mirror image of the final act, of the final resolution. And that usually comes, again, the middle of the script. The end of Act 2, which is the end of the 6th sequence, is the point of is the lowest point, which I talked about. The character is at the absolute lowest point of their life, and it looks like it's sort of a false ending that nothing is going to resolve it. Act 2, the final act, Act 3, sequences 7 and 8, have your building up to your final confrontation, your climax, and ultimately your resolution. That's all there. So again, your opening image, this is what your cards are going to be. You're going to have an opening image, which is literally what the character, what the audience sees first. We're going to introduce to the world and the character, however you want to do it. It could be over black and we hear something. It could be close up on a character's face. If you saw Blue Velvet, it went into someone's ear. You're going to write about what's the inciting incident. It's the plot point, again, that hooks the audience into the story. It thrusts the protagonist into the plot of the screenplay. And I've listed, I've given you a link to 50 of them. The end of Act 1, the point of no return, where the protagonist makes a decision to go, to act, to do whatever they're doing. The root of the word decision, believe it or not, is to cut off. So when they make a decision, they've cut off any possibilities beyond that. So from there, the escalating tension in the second act, this is where things tend to fall apart in scripts because they really don't know what the quote unquote journey is. And that's the escalating tension. The midpoint is the crisis. As I say, it's where the goal changes. In The Wizard of Oz, they reach Oz, and then the wizard says, you got to kill the witch. Changes the goal before they can get what they want. The crisis is when, pardon my French, the shit hits the fan. It's what they feared is coming to fruition. The end of the act is the low point, and the final dilemma is the confrontation. Building up to the crisis, the confrontation, and then the resolution. So, that's it in a nutshell, what this schematic is. This is not the note cards themselves, but that's the end of the lecture. You can go on the discussion board, and you can go on to the book, which goes into much more detail about it. If you have any questions, certainly don't hesitate to ask. After that is our exercise for the day, which we're building a little bit more and more and more every day. So let me get to the workout for the day. We're up to 30 high knees. If you remember the high knees, where you do a little twist with them. A 40-second plank, so time it. You can do it either on your elbows, or you can do it on your hands, like a full plank, like you're about to do a push-up. 40 seconds. Increase from 30. We're going to do 20 lunges. Remember, you get your leg to a 90-degree angle. 20 of them. 1, 2, not right leg, right and left don't count as 1. Right and left count as 2. From there, you go into a 40-second wall sit. Hopefully you have walls. We don't really have walls at the ScriptGym classroom, but hopefully you do at home. And from there, we did 9 push-ups yesterday. Today is 11. Again, if you have to go to your knees, go to your knees. You can do any kind of push-up that you want. Remember, down 2, up 2. So again, 30 high knees, 40-second plank, 20 lunges, 40-second wall sit, and 11 push-ups. And it's all there on the discussion board. Once you're done with that, hydrate, and I'll give you your homework for tomorrow, which is the note cards. So let's say you've got 40 or 50 scenes. That's not a generalized how many you can have in a script. You can have up to 100 scenes or beats or whatever through your script, but you're not going to do 40 or 50 or 60 or 100 cards. You can do, I think 6 or 8 of them, and maybe 8 or 9 of them, something like that. So your first card is page 1, your opening image. This is where your movie begins. Now, of course, you're saying, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Of course, it's starting here. But a lot of times movies take so much time to warm up. What is the image? What are you going to grab us with on that opening image? We talked about opening images earlier. What's the first image that comes to you, and what's the first image that we're going to see? That's your first card, card number 1. Card number 2 is page 3. This is where the central question of your script is stated at the bottom of page 3 generally. It's the main issue that your screenplay is going to explore and try to answer. That's the end of page 3. That's card number 2. Card number 3, page 10. What's the story? What character did you choose to explore the question in that way? And you can even put a line of dialogue that tells us who wants what at this point. The line will be on page 10. As I say, that's sort of the middle, that's the inciting incident around that area. Card 4, page 30, we're looking at the end of the first act. And this is assuming it's a 120-page script, which it probably won't end up being. This is the event. This is the point of no return. This is the one that throws your character a curve. They're forced to respond or react. They might make a plan. They decide a goal to pursue because of what's happened. They're going to make the plan and implement it. What is the plan? What do they plan to do about it? And we want to see them take the action according to that plan. Card 5, page 45. This is where your character starts to grow and learn and evolve. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. What's a scene here that will show the growth? How have they changed in some way? Page 60 is where your character has to commit to what they want. We see that they're changing and the circumstances are changing. This is the midpoint, again, the crisis. Here we see it's taking everything they have to do. This is harder than they thought, but somehow because it's harder, they want it more. And they make a different goal somewhere. Page 75. How does our hero change when it looks like all is lost? Here's where your character is about to give up. Something happens that changes everything, an event that gives them a chance at a goal they didn't even know that they had. What is this event? Page 90. This is the beginning of the end. We're going to learn what the resolution is. This is going to climax. What is your climax? Page 120 is your end, your resolution. How does it all resolve? So again, it's all on the discussion board. It's going to be a lot clearer. We have the opening image, we have the central question, we have the inciting incident, we have the midpoint, the character growth, then we have the midpoint, we have the low point, we have the beginning of the end leading to the climax. What's the climax going to be? And what is the resolution? So those will be your note cards. There's 9 of them. And if you look at them, you'll have a pretty good idea of what your script is going to be. Go on, match this with the discussion board, and also on the assignments. It's listed under assignments as well, and it goes to, you know, very clearly what you have to put on each note card. Again, you can do the note cards on the computer. It's totally fine. Have the most important thing of all is to have fun with it. And don't stress too hard about it. Don't worry that, oh my gosh, I don't know what the story is. You will. The idea of the entire idea of the first draft is to find this story. This is all just leading up to it. And then you do all the refinements and turning it into the story that you want exactly at the end of, you know, the next process, the next draft, the draft after that, and so on. So don't stress about it. Work out, have a good day, you know, where you can sort of do this whenever, you know, fits best into your schedule. I would do it as early as possible. If it's late in the day when you're watching this, well then obviously that doesn't work, but do whatever works for you best. If you have any problems or any issues, you know how to reach me. I will be here, and I will be in class with you tomorrow at our ScriptGym workshop stage. And have a great day, have a great Tuesday, have a great class 5, and I will see you then. Take care.